My guy, Paul McCarthy.
What's
Welcome.
going on?
Welcome to my world, my friend.
Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes,
This should be fun.
it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. What are you up to, man? How's it going?
And I'm blessed.
Good.
Every day's a blessing,
Hell of an
you know?
answer. Hell of an
And
answer.
if I wake up breathing and my wife hadn't killed me,
I
good
love it.
day.
I love it, dude. Dude, oh man, that's a perfect segue. So look, before we kick things off, I just want to give you your flowers real quick. Do I have permission to do that? All right. So you and I obviously have never met before. Our engagement has really just been us kind of being lunatics on LinkedIn. But here's what I've chalked up about you is, dude, you are probably one of the most authentic and wholesome type of content creators on the platform. I feel like I naturally gravitate towards that type of realism. And so thank you for that. Thank you. I think that you have a beautiful family. I see pictures of you with your wife. I see pictures of you with your kids. You're an incredible father. And so that's the type of stuff that I'd like to show up for. And through it all, you're probably voted in your household most likely to burn down the kitchen. And so I can get on board with that as well. Uh,
Yes.
and so I just wanted to say, going back to in the lobby, I said, look, I'm going to be vulnerable here. I just think you're a great dude, Paul. So we'll kick it off like that. I'm inspired by what you post, and yeah, dude, I'm along for the ride. So
I appreciate it. I tell people there's only one me, and I may as well be me because I can do it the best.
yeah,
And
you're doing a great job at being you, Paul. I'll tell you, bro.
I really wasn't diagnosed with ADHD till my wife diagnosed me.
Okay.
And that was 6 years ago
Okay.
when my bonus son has ADHD. And so we had reconnected and we were with each other 5 minutes. She goes, "How long have you had ADHD? What the hell are you
What do you
talking
tell?
about?" She's like, "You
Yeah.
got it." I was like, "You mean people don't normally wake up with a million thoughts coming out of their head like a blender with the top
Oh
off?"
man, I love it. I love it. And honestly, that's one of the things I jotted down in here as well is you kind of are like, not kind of, you're an ADHD advocate. I have ADHD and like it's hard to compartmentalize just how fast your mind races and like the pillars of thoughts and the whether it's organized chaos or unorganized chaos, it really is a thing. Think is dope is you like have found a pocket to leverage that chaos inside of you and turn it into something that's inspiring, awesome to engage with. And I mean, obviously, you're kicking butt in what you're doing. And so I just think, all things considered, it's a beautiful thing.
I think I've had a retired Army colonel tell me, change the way you look at things and the things you look at will change.
Uh-huh.
And I think a lot of people go through life and they don't want to change the way they look at things.
Yeah.
And they can say, okay, ADHD, I have this, I can't think straight. It's a superpower. I compare it to a Rubik's Cube where I'm doing a contest against somebody else that doesn't have ADHD.
Yeah.
I'm 3 steps ahead of them
Get it.
because that's the way our mind works. And so if you can use it as a superpower, we can read people and
Yeah.
we usually are dead on about it. And
Yeah.
it's scary to some people. So I'm embracing it. And I say embrace the race
Dude, I
because in
love
my mind,
embrace
like
the
you said,
race. Oh,
we've got 100 thoughts going. And my chat GPT, Little Mac, likes to say that I have 19 tabs open on my computer while I'm thinking.
I love it. I love it. Even the reference to the 19 tabs for the rest of you ADHDers out there, you know what my boy Paul is talking about. Like, and 19 is the minimum. It's an uncapped maximum. Sometimes you get to read the little thumbnail part at the top. You're like, I hope this is it. That's funny, dude. Hey man, I got a gripe with you as well.
Okay.
You already did me dirty in a good way though. So I referenced a lot of your content, super wholesome, really authentic. I get to see the real you. And I think 2 weeks ago, was it 2 weeks ago? Well, let me see what I wrote down here. Is you posted the most like heartthrob, like type of story about how you met your wife. To say I had the biggest smile on my face after reading and watching what you had put together, but you threw a curveball at me. I didn't, in my limited exposure to you, I didn't know you had it in you. Dang it, man. I just felt like, God, I got to talk to this guy. I gotta talk to this guy. So like, just give me the high level overview again. So you knew your wife way back when. What were you guys, neighbors?
You act like I'm old. Way back when?
Way
I'm not
back. I
Moses,
mean,
first of
hey,
all.
I watched the video. Okay, I studied the video. You posed it as way back when.
So we did our first communion in the Catholic Church in 1979. And we were best friends, dated on and off, about 24, lost contact. Fast forward through a story about adoption and me
Uh-huh.
being adopted, finding my birth family. Her family had a skeleton in the closet that came back in, which is
Okay.
her older brother. And we reconnected over that. Did long distance I was in the great state of Texas, as you are,
Yes, sir.
and she's in Florida, and we did long distance. And then we married 35 years and 5 days after we did our first communion.
Bro, so beautiful. So beautiful. Know what I like the most about that story is obviously you guys already had a super strong relationship when some of like her learnings of the adoption and obviously your learnings. I thought the coolest part was, and correct me if I'm wrong, she reached out to you just so that she could get a better understanding of like, hey, Paul, how did you feel when you found this out? Or like what was going through your head so that she could position herself better to help her brother? Is that correctly? Dude,
And that's exactly what
you're
it
just a
was.
great person. Like she's a great person.
He is a great
So
person.
many people wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? Like, Paul, I want to pick your brain and get a better understanding of how you were feeling emotionally so that I could position myself in the best strength to help a family member. There's nothing cooler than that, dude, honestly.
I have always been what I like to say a selfless person, and I enjoy giving to others. I'd rather give than receive. And I will say that when she first reached out to me, this is the girl that every July 26th I would think about her,
Yeah.
even though we hadn't seen each other in years. And when she reached out to me, the inner male in me said,
Yeah, man.
She's finally got smart. But the reality was, when she told me what was going on, I wanted to fill her with everything about it,
Yeah.
because adoption is a different story and not everybody can understand it. But for somebody to put that much trust in me,
Yeah.
I always reference George Strait, who's the king of country. He's the worst actor in the world, but in pure country, his granny says sometimes you have to chop the tree down to get back to the roots to
Mm,
find yourself.
that's
She's my
beautiful.
roots. And so when we started talking about it, it was like, holy moly, we were both getting separated, and we just weren't in good places,
Yeah.
but we brought each other out of it because we realized, first of all, we're still best friends.
Yeah.
And now I get to live my life where every morning I wake up next to my best friend.
That's a
That's
lot.
beautiful.
Dude, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So that was my gripe with you is I didn't bake in that you were also a hopeless romantic, and it makes the allure of Paul McCarthy even better, having known that now. You're still a lunatic, and that part I appreciate the most, but woven deep inside of there in those roots, as you said, you're a hopeless romantic, and
Yep.
if that's just a beautiful thing. So thank you, and I forgive you for doing that to me. I was just trying to have a peaceful day on my LinkedIn timeline, and you had to throw some real heat. And so I'm
Did you show it to
appreciative.
your wife?
Of course I did. Of course I did.
Good. Did you take her out for date night that week?
Dude, we do date night every week. That's why, like, that's one of the things I lean into with people I talk to is I love dating my wife. We got to be so intentional. We have two kids, a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and they're just the most chaotic age of children. Like, and
Yep.
I'm sure it's going to get worse, but right now, like my house is a farm, 100%. So getting that alone time and being intentional to be like, yo, those kids suck today, huh? Be like, yeah, they suck for sure.
That's your kid.
Yeah, no, exactly, exactly. So yeah, no, we're super intentional. Of course, I shared it with her.
That's awesome.
Here's another thing I want to know about is talk to me about the origin, the affiliation, and the reference of the squirrel. And now I'm even seeing there's like a damn squirrel block party, a digital block party being Paul, just walk, walk. And I get it. Okay. I made the connection from ADHD to squirrel, but how did you land on that? That's what I want to know.
So when I first got on LinkedIn, I always referred to my ADHD as a squirrel syndrome, because what happens in Texas is you get these big squirrels running back and forth across the street,
Yeah, you do.
and they're dodging cars and they don't know what they're doing. They don't know which side they're going to stay on. Well, it's very similar to our mind.
Yeah.
And so when I got on LinkedIn, I kind of embedded myself as, "Hey, I'm a squirrel. Be careful. I come with warning labels."
Yeah.
And so through that, I connected with four other people who are also squirrels. And we have a group chat on LinkedIn that's called the Treehouse. Because where else would a squirrel hang out?
I love it, man. I
And
love it.
so Liam and Ashley are doing the block party redo, and they asked Donnie and Annabelle and myself to be on. So it's going to be five squirrels hanging out in a theater on a stage,
Dude,
and who knows what's going to happen.
I love it.
But I wanted to talk to you about this because I love the name Mutual Connections. So somebody posted on one of ABC's comments that said, "You're trying to be nostalgic, but can you bring what LinkedIn truly is about these days, which is connections?"
Mm,
And so I thought about that and I thought, this dude doesn't know us because the fact that five strangers met less than 6 months ago
yeah.
and now we would do anything for each other, that's connection.
It's
And that's what
connections.
LinkedIn's about.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And dude, that's why I love doing this show. I've been invited to so many podcasts and it's propositioned as like, tell us about your service. What's your call to action? How can we get you referrals? And look, there's a time and a place and a joint for that. But for me personally, like even if I wasn't recording these, it's like I posted a couple weeks ago. I accidentally fell into this and I just love it. Even if the cameras aren't rolling, I love connecting beyond the post. I love a scenario like this where it's like, I feel like I know you just because of a funny comment here. Oh, Chris, you're cracking me up. And then getting to like hop into a room like this, like there was no, like that's what mutual connections is, man, is there's real people behind the keyboard. And those real people are so awesome. They're so awesome. And so just to get to steal 20 minutes to just, hey, man, what's up? It's like for me, it's honestly the coolest thing I could have ever done.
I always say about LinkedIn, the thing that it is today is real relationships, real people.
Yeah.
And if you're not taking advantage of that, you're not using
You're
LinkedIn the
missing
right way.
out. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
100% agree, dude. 100%. And because of you, like that's why it's cool as well. It really is a network. I am connected with Annabelle, and she's funny as all heavens, man. She's another lunatic for sure. You guys are all nuts in a treehouse, is what it is
We
with your
really are.
with your squirrel group. But it's just like I don't know her. I don't know half of these people, but I do because I'm lean into the curiosity and it's like a happy accident that turned into such a beautiful thing.
I always say it's like we're in 25 pen pals,
Yes.
if you think about it.
Yes.
Because, back in the 80s when we used to write our letters to our pen pal, now we're doing it digitally.
Yeah.
And relationships form that way.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell how people are. You can tell the people that you're like, I want to have a beer with that guy.
Yes.
Because
Instant.
just their little smart comments, the way they handle themselves, their posts, you can read so much into people
Oh
and
yeah.
you can already know that's one of my guys.
That's one of my guys. And Paul, you are one of my guys. I knew from the instant. How did we connect? Did we connect because was it because of
Yeah.
Sherry?
Yeah.
Sherry. So I have Sherry to blame for this, amongst a
Just
bunch of other things that I blame Sherry for.
you can blame her for everything.
No, I do. But truth be told, hopefully she doesn't hear this. Sherry is a killer. Sherry's
She's
worked
awesome.
under me for 4 years, 4.5 years now. So coachable, so along for the ride. She knew nothing about sales or the debt collection industry or anything finance, but she showed up and she was just so hungry. And I was like, yo, this is my person. This is the type of person that I want to lead because we can get her to wherever the hell she wants to be. And last year, across people with 15, 20 years experience, people that have been living and breathing this. Sherry was my top new business performer. So, if you sometimes you just see somebody and you're like, yo, if you're ambitious, you're coachable, you're down for the party and you want to learn, sky's the limit. And so as much as I give her so much crap, I do online, offline, anywhere I can. I rock with her because she shows up. So I appreciate Sherry.
She's solid. And that's one of the things she's embraced too, which I tell people all the time. If you're not embracing social selling, then you're going to be behind the eight ball
100.
because it's starting to happen. And it's not the pitch slaps.
Yeah.
It's not slipping into the DMs. It's the interaction and building that connection first.
Yeah.
Because we've said it for years. People buy from people.
100.
We went through a phase from 2005 to 2015 where all these systems came out and all these ways to sell. I'm not a used car salesman.
Yeah.
I'm a relationship person,
No,
and
definite.
I want them to trust me.
It just feels
And
yucky too, kind of
it,
having that
oh
pitch
my
slap
God.
up. Doesn't it just kind of feel yucky?
We went to buy my bonus son a car, and I had to deal with the used car salesman. And I literally got home. I said, I've got to take a shower. I just feel
Dude,
gross.
exactly, man. Exactly.
Thank God
Man.
they aren't on LinkedIn though.
No, yeah, for real. For real. They're sweating their heads off on the lot. 100-degree weather, looking at this beat up Toyota from 97 going, but she sure does purr, I'll tell you that.
Exactly.
No, that's funny, man. Couldn't agree more. What else? What else I want to chop into you? Bro, do you have a military background?
No, I do not.
You don't?
So I do not. I tell people when I was 18, nobody was going to give me a sign on the dotted line and tell me what to do.
Okay.
But my best friend, since I was 10 years old, we played club soccer together. And we ended up playing over in Europe. And actually, our claim to fame is we got to play against Uday Hussein.
No way.
Yeah, twice. And we lost twice.
Of course.
Here's the problem.
Yeah.
We were 15 years old. Uday Hussein and 6 of his teammates had full beards like you,
Yeah.
and they spoke English. So
It's
I got to mark Uday,
crazy.
and I got to say some choice American words to him.
Okay. Good for you.
But
Good for you,
back
Paul.
then, it was 1985. Nobody knew Iraq.
Yeah.
And so my buddy Jack ended up going in the Air Force. He was a combat controller, which anything flying, dropping bombs, he's the air to ground interface while he's also fighting with a special ops team.
Dang, that's his world.
Yeah, that's his world. And he was 100% badass.
Awesome.
Well, he ended up going out for what they call a tier 1 team, and he had made the team, but he's doing one final mission jump. And he jumped out in what they call hey-ho formation. It's high altitude, high open. Well, his night vision goggles came down and he pulled out formation. He done thousands of jumps and he said, I'll see you boys on the ground. Well, it was in White Sands, New Mexico, and Noah loomed from the moon and the white sand. He didn't pull his rucksack in time and he hit the ground at 60 miles an hour.
Dang, man.
So
I'm
by the
sorry to
grace of
hear
God,
that.
he's still around.
Is he really?
I tell people, yeah, he's still around. He's a
Wow.
C4 quadriplegic, can only move from his neck up.
Okay.
I tell people he's a better shot now with no arms or legs, and he'll look at me and say bullshit.
Yeah.
And I'll say, if I walk in your house right now, how many mounts do you have? He'll
Dang.
go 9. I said, how many are post accident? He goes, all 9.
9.
So when he was injured, he got injured on January 11th, 2010.
Dang.
And in 2011, we wanted to give him a new mission. So we started Brothers Keepers.
Okay.
And what we did is we took wounded veterans, wounded first responders, and their families on retreats. Not kumbaya, sit around a campfire. We were throwing their asses out of helicopters,
Yeah,
being them
yeah.
skydiving, running Ferraris and Lamborghinis up and down closed runways, snow skiing.
That's awesome.
And so through that time, I spent 8 years heavily involved with that, and they became my families. So I tell people God gave me a gift to speak military and civilian because every guy, I'm the hopeless romantic, so I might cry
That's
a little
right.
bit.
Bring it.
But I would sit there at the beginning of the 4-day retreat and I would stand up there and I would tell them, what you're about to experience over the next 4 days is something that's going to be unbelievable and you won't be able to explain it. And we call it Jack Magic. And I would start crying and they would look at me, all these type A personalities going, dude, who is this guy?
Yeah, pull it together,
But
Paul.
Yeah, exactly. And Jack, I look at Jack like, bail me out. And he's like, dude, you're on your own. So I ended up, every retreat we did, I would have either a veteran or a first responder come up to me crying
Dang.
and say, dude, thank you for this. Because it's a whole family, it's a unit that gets hurt when those guys get hurt.
Oh, yeah.
So that's my background in the military.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah, I
That's
love
so
those
beautiful.
guys.
Yeah. And I saw, obviously, I don't know if it's by coincidence or because you found him. Obviously, you're at Hero Facility Services right now. Was that irony, or did you see kind of that it was more of a veteran focused? I think it's a woman run business as well. Like all these really cool components where you're just like, dang, that this seems like a great company to be a part
You know,
of.
it was one of those moments, Chris, where I call them God winks.
Yeah.
And so when I heard about Hero, it was actually from my next door neighbor. She works there. And I had the blessing to look for a job and kind of be picky about what I was doing. I knew what I wasn't doing and I
Hmm.
knew what I wanted to do. But when Hero came to me and it was combat veteran, woman owned, and they support special forces, I was like, how can I turn this
Check,
down?
check,
Check.
check.
Yeah. Because you and I both know that culture and beliefs are very important when you go into a
Oh yeah.
company. And if they don't align, you're probably not going to align with them. So
Hmm.
they checked all three boxes off. And then once I got in, it was like, this is my
Let's
people.
go. This is it.
Yeah, yeah, let's go.
Dude, that's so awesome to hear, man. Especially, yeah, like, and that's why I assume that you had some type of military background. But I think that your involvement, going back to how I started this, authentic, wholesome, like your involvement in that world is tremendous, and it's not by accident. And I just think that's a beautiful thing. I
Thank you.
didn't expect that from you, Paul. What the heck, man?
You know, I tell you, I am really a softie at heart.
Are you? I'm
Yeah.
learning that.
I am a softie at heart and I'm an open book
Yeah,
because everything that happened in my past brought me to right here.
no, for sure.
And if I can share something one day, and you see me be open and vulnerable, if I can share something one day that helps one person, my job's done.
Yeah, yeah.
It's how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. How do you change a world? One person at a
One
time.
person at a time. Dude, I got one. You might appreciate this. And I told this story on LinkedIn once, but when I was like super young in high school, kind of like struggling with substance abuse issues and whatnot, but I had my head on straight and I wanted to get out of addiction. So I was a filmmaker and a photographer. So I was in Tahunga, California. I was taking photos of massage tables and this massage school. It's one of my buddies. It was just a weird freelance gig. I was out there for several weeks. I would step out, have smoke, and there was a homeless veteran, this guy Murdoch, who made like a derogatory comment towards this woman walking by, and I was like, "Hey, man, like you can't, come on, dude, you can't do that." But something just kind of clicked, and I saw him for 2 weeks, and I would always go. And then I started walking over to his dirt lot where his tent was. I learned that he had been homeless for 27 years. He was a paratrooper in Vietnam. And I don't know, man, we just like accidentally became super good buddies. And so one night I stayed the night in his tent and he's got this little DVD portable thing and we watched A Few Good Men. I was like, yo, this is cool. So long story short, I invited him to my house for my birthday. I asked my parents, I was still living with my parents. I was like, hey, you guys are gonna think I'm crazy. This guy is an alcoholic. He looks homeless. He smells homeless. Like he is that picture. So he comes for my birthday and I'm driving him back, right? And I'm driving him back. He just stayed the night in a house, right? Like, I had him sleep over. I'm like, I call my mom. I was like, dude, I can't just drop him back off. I was like, maybe there's something that we could do. And so I did drop him off, but then I went back home and I had to talk to my parents and I said, look, give me 2 weeks. Can I ask this guy to come and live with us and stay in one of our guest bedrooms? Give me 2 weeks. And I made some rules. Said, hey, Murdoch, no drinking. You got to shower every day. I want you to be at the dinner table for dinner because we do this as a family. He stayed with us for a year, but I was able to get him through a program called VASH, Veteran Assisted Supportive Housing, got him a brand new permanent apartment, all paid for by the Veterans Association. And he lived with us for a year. I got to move him into this new apartment. My wife and I, or my then girlfriend, go and check up on him weekly. Just, hey, you need us to cook you something? Do you want us to fill your fridge? And he passed away several years ago on my birthday, which I thought was like, dang, this thing comes full circle. But yeah, man, that's my tie in to I don't have any military experience, but dang, I see the weight of what that type of support can do. As you said, man, you want to change the world, you help one person at a time. And that dude had the biggest impact on me. Subsequently, I did get sober immediately once he moved in, and I haven't done anything since. And so it's just like this beautiful array of crap that happened. It's the craziest thing I've ever done, hands down. But that's my that's my military story.
That's amazing though, because you think about it, if you were raised a little differently to wait, they're homeless
Yeah.
or, but you had that giving side of you that you just wanted to connect. And I believe that that connection was a God wink for you
Yeah.
because we put things together in our life. And when we don't look back, I mean, when we look back on them, we realize there's no way in heck this just happened to be coincidence.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you an interesting story. So at 14, I was adopted and baby at 7. And I had two brothers, one of them 7 years older than me. My mom adopted me single. And so my brother that was 7 years older than me was my hero. He was my
Mhm.
everything. So at 14, my mom, I still remember this. I was practicing soccer. She was at the fence. It was like 5:45, and my mom, I practiced over at 6:30. I was like, what is she doing here? I'm waving her away. She's waving me over there. So I run over there. She said Brian had a wreck, which was my brother. So I went to the hospital. He had a motorcycle wreck. He passed away 2 years later, or 2 days later. I'm sorry.
Dang.
But I walked out of the Catholic church following a casket, and I was a 14-year-old kid with a lot of whys.
Yeah.
So I left the Catholic church. I never left God, but I left the Catholic church. Then fast forward 13 years, and I followed another casket out of the Catholic church, which was my mom's. Well, 2 hours later, I'm sitting with my nephew who's my age, and we're having a cocktail, just kind of decompressing from the funeral.
Yeah.
I got a phone call. Said, congratulations, you're dad. So the day I buried my mom, my son was born.
No way.
And so it gets even crazier. So
No
fast
way.
forward to 2013, because of the veteran nonprofit, I found a nonprofit in Fort Worth called the Warm Place.
Mhm.
What they do is they help grieving children deal with the loss of a loved one. And so we had donated, I think, $10,000 to him. And we said, listen, let us tour the facility. We'll present the check, do all the hula. I walked in there and I said, I've got to be here. I've got to be here. So first day of our facilitator training, they said, Paul, you're going to be with Shelly and the 14-year-olds. Now that wasn't lost on me because here I am helping 14-year-olds deal
Yeah.
with the loss of a loved one. But what I didn't expect next was during our spiritual training, I was sitting next to a priest. Growing up Catholic, priests were a dime a dozen
Yeah.
because I went to a school taught by nuns. So they came in for
Okay.
mass.
Hey, me too. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know the feeling. And so at break, I walked up to the priest. I said, Father Charlie, I said, I know you. He goes, how do you know me? I said, you gave my brother his last rites in 1985. He goes, what was his name? I said, Brian. He goes, McCarthy. And I said, yeah. He goes, he was the first student at Texas Christian who I ever gave last rites to. So here I am 26, 27 years later, helping 14-year-olds understand the why. And the priest who gave my brother his last rites is
Yeah.
there. And so
Dude. That's
that's happened
another
all through
wink,
my life.
man. That's another
Yeah,
wink for
it's
you
a
all
huge
day.
link.
Um,
Yeah.
dude, that's wild. It's because of things like that that I don't think that there are coincidences or irony. I think that there's a really big, sometimes methodical and crazy plan that is stored out for us. And yeah, those things don't just happen
Yeah.
accidentally. That's so cool, man. That's so cool. And dude, like you just touched me, dude. Like, I'm sure that
I got more. I got more.
all of that stuff, like that's why I had to connect with you, man. Because it's rare. It's rare to find people that are able. Stuff happens to everybody, right? And it almost goes back to the comment that you made when we first started this. It's, can I change my perspective? Do I want to? Am I open to seeing if I could make sense of some of these just like really shitty things that have happened to me? And is there a way that I can change the lens from those being shitty things to like challenges that were put in front of me, giving me an opportunity to show myself or prove to myself and become this greater thing? Um, And I just like, we're getting deep into the weeds, but I think that's a beautiful thing, man. I very much feel that.
And I also think part of another power of ADHD is we're able to discern the stuff we really need to worry about and the stuff that we don't.
Yeah.
And I tell people, if it's not hurting or killing somebody, it's going to slide off my back.
Yeah.
Grudges, I don't hold grudges.
No,
They're just a waste of your mind.
no. And it
You know,
takes a
take
lot
out
of
space.
energy. Takes a lot
It
of energy
really
to be
does.
angry, man.
It really does. And I don't know if you ever saw the post about my son that was born on the day my mom died.
I don't
So
know if
he's
I did.
27 now.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen him in 5 years. He's on the run from the law in Texas.
Dang.
He was the only white kid in a gang, a African American gang in Waco, Texas.
Okay.
And so he got put in jail, spent a year there. I knew he was in a gang because he walked, talked, act like he's a black guy.
Yeah.
But the poor kid, he's my mini me and he can't stand it.
Yeah.
But he didn't get his ass kicked, and so I knew that he was in a gang.
Mm-hmm.
So he got out. When he got out, I took him to lunch. I said, "I wanna see you." And I looked at him straight on. I said, "Listen," I said, "Did they live or did they die?" He goes, "What do you mean?" And he put his head down. I said, "You just told me everything you need to know. Did they
Dang.
live or did they die?" He goes, "Dad, I never stuck around."
Dang.
So that day, I told him, I said, "Listen, I've got a Christian rehab up in Fort Worth.
Mm-hmm.
I can take you up there. I'll deal with the lawyers, I'll deal with everything, but it's a 12-month program." And he told me, he said, "Dad, I can't get sober."
Mm-hmm.
So I told him that day, I said, "The next time I see you is going to be in a pine box."
Dang.
And so it's going on 5 years now that I haven't seen him,
So
but I
rough.
posted about it. And when people say went viral, I didn't realize what that was,
Mm-hmm.
but I had over 103 reposts on it.
Damn.
And I had more parents reaching out to me saying, "Thank you for sharing that because I can feel your pain."
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm an open book.
No, I love that.
It doesn't define me, it makes me who I am.
Yeah. Never, I mean, and dude, talk about again to, one person at a time. Sharing a story like that, I think, one, it humanizes you, but it makes other people feel like they're not alone. Like, Christ, dude, I can't imagine what I put my mom and my dad through when I was stuck in the chains of addiction. And, I'm lucky because I had a strong family support. I had people that were like, look, go ahead, relapse 100 times, but I'm not gonna not keep my eye on you. I'm not gonna keep. And I just like, I have so many friends where that wasn't the way that it turned out. And I got friends that
It's
passed because of it. I got friends that are still in the throes, year on, year off. It's just like, it's heavy. It's heavy, dude.
I would venture to say that there's probably not many people in this country that haven't been affected by addiction
Yeah.
in some form or the other. And it's something you talk about addiction with the veterans and I go back to the veterans always because I'm so familiar with that is January 3rd, 2019, I lost one of my guys
Mm.
from suicide, and he was in the throes of addiction. But what I try to explain people is these guys have videos going on through our head. Like we have the open tabs. These guys have videos.
Yeah.
They've seen, smelled, done, witnessed
Stuff that
things
we
that
couldn't even,
you can't
you
imagine.
can't, yeah. Like,
Video games don't do it justice.
yeah.
And Jack has a story that at the time he had a 5-year-old son and they were going through town doing a sweep and they were in a Humvee and this 6-year-old kid started walking to him and the translator said, "Stop." The kid wouldn't stop. Well, you got to make a
You
decision.
gotta make a decision.
Is it your life or theirs? And so Jack pulled the trigger and they walked up and the kid did have an IED on him.
Yep.
But Jack had to deal with that and he still has
You
to deal
don't,
with it.
and like you can't, I could never recover. Like, how
Yeah,
do you
you
get
can't.
past that? You
Nope.
don't.
Yeah. And you get past it by you go into a bottle or you go
Yeah.
into drugs and you numb that. But the problem with numbing is you never address it. And so how can you fix a problem if you don't address it?
Yeah.
And so that's one of the hard things about addiction.
Yeah. You're a good guy, Paul.
Thank you, brother.
You're a good guy. We're getting short on time. I got a couple other questions, but I think I just want to leave. I'm going to leave us on a high note. You mentioned something that I didn't know about you is I am the perfect definition of what you would call a football hooligan. I live and breathe soccer. I've played my whole life. I was a women's college soccer coach before I got into the finance world. I was a coach at Cal State Northridge. I love it. And so I had no idea that you had a background playing, particularly in Europe, which is like I am Premier League. I follow Manchester United. We're rubbish, but I am loyal to the depths. If I could turn my whole wall is covered in Manchester United frames and memorabilia, jerseys, signed crap. So I'll leave it at this. What's your team, man?
You're gonna hate me.
Dude, if you tell me you're a blue, I'm hanging up right now.
Man City, dude.
Get out of here, bro.
Yes.
Paul, it was good
Yes.
while it lasted. I still think you're a good guy, but we're done.
Peace out.
No, I mean, look, I could respect it. City is a hell of a team between
Yeah.
Kevin De Bruyne, obviously Holland. Their coach, um, my goodness, what's his name again?
Jesus.
You know who I'm talking about. Come
I know
on,
who you're talking about.
you cannot. I love the players. I'm a big individual player watcher. I love the coach. Hate the team, and I'll just carry that with me forever. So
But now, are you a Wrexham fan?
yeah, hell yeah, I'm a Wrexham fan. I'm watching
Dude,
Wrexham.
that is
Is that
amazing.
so fun to watch, dude? And now they're in the championship league.
I
Like,
know.
get out of town, dude. Bro, when they brought back Ben Foster, who retired, to come and play keeper, and he blocked the PK at the end of that match with nods, and that was the one. Dude, I am going back to being a hopeless romantic. If it has to do with soccer, I'm boo-hooing all day, man. That's the quickest way to waterworks for me. Is I just love a good soccer emotional story.
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
man,
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
I love that. We're teed up on time. I have to tell you, you broke my heart telling me that you're a City supporter, but I forgive you because I know that you're a football supporter, and that means that this is not going to be the last time that we are able to
No,
connect like this.
no.
100%. All right. So, hey, my man
Let's
Paul, very rare that you get to take 30, 45 minutes to just be super vulnerable with somebody and vibe and get to share a little bit of the background, a lot of the stuff that you don't just tell people off the cuff. And so for that, man, I'm thankful for you. I'm continuously along for the ride with your story and with your content. And I'm already counting the days till the next time that we could link up, man.
So, my brother, thanks for having me. I appreciate the talk.
Hell yeah.
Look forward to talking again.
100%. I'll see you on the platform, baby.
See
All
you,
right,
brother.
big dog.